Hi doctors, good morning. Today's discussion is about hypertensive disorders in pregnancy or pregnancy induced hypertension. First, we are going to talk about classifications of hypertensive disorders in pregnancy. Mainly, there are four classifications: gestational hypertension, preeclampsia or eclampsia, chronic hypertension, and chronic hypertension with superimposed preeclampsia. Here the important points are gestational hypertension, eclampsia and preeclampsia. Other things they are not asking frequently. First, gestational hypertension. Blood pressure 140/90. So systolic blood pressure more than or equal to 140 or diastolic blood pressure 90 or equal to 90 or more than 90 for the first time during pregnancy, that will be called as gestational hypertension. Here there is no proteinuria. So 140/90. Similarly, in preeclampsia, blood pressure will be 140/90 mmHg or more than 140/90. But this will occur after 20 weeks of pregnancy. Here proteinuria will present. In gestational hypertension there is no proteinuria. If it is associated with proteinuria, that is preeclampsia. Next comes eclampsia. If convulsions occurring in preeclampsia patient, that will be called as eclampsia. Next comes chronic hypertension. Blood pressure more than or equal to 140/90 mmHg but less than 20 weeks of pregnancy. Here there is no proteinuria, but BP can persist 3 months even after postpartum. Chronic hypertension with superimposed preeclampsia. Here the definition is same, but proteinuria we can see. So in chronic hypertension there is no proteinuria, but in chronic hypertension with superimposed eclampsia we can get proteinuria. Next comes the HELP syndrome. Here HE for hemolysis, L for elevated liver enzymes, next LP for low platelets. So what is HELP syndrome? Hemolysis, elevated liver enzymes and low platelets. They can ask the question like this: HELP syndrome includes all of the following except. So these three will come there, but exception, if they give some other option we have to exclude that. This HELP syndrome can develop even without maternal hypertension. Symptoms can be nausea, vomiting or epigastric pain. Sometimes subscapular hematoma can be seen in HELP syndrome. Next comes warning signs of PIH: headache, blurring of vision, epigastric pain and decreased urine output. Now eclampsia. Eclampsia means convulsions occurring in severe preeclampsia patients. Here convulsions can be GTCS, which means generalized tonic-clonic seizures can occur. Mainly the cause for convulsion is cerebral anaxia. There was a question asked in one competitive exam: cause of convulsion in eclampsia. Options given were hypovolemia, hypocalcemia, shock and cerebral anaxia due to arterial spasm. Here answer is cerebral anaxia due to arterial spasm. Next comes types of eclampsia: antepartum, intrapartum, postpartum and intercurrent. Antepartum most commonly seen 50%, intrapartum 30%, postpartum 20%. Antepartum means convulsions occurs before the onset of labor. In intrapartum, convulsions will occur first time during labor. In postpartum, convulsions occur for the first time in puerperium, usually within 48 hours of delivery. The regime which is given for PIH patients is Pritchard regimen. So Pritchard regimen PIH. You can remember like this: Pritchard regimen PIH. Next comes some important points. Hypertension and proteinuria developing after 20 weeks of pregnancy is preeclampsia. In chronic hypertension, proteinuria is absent. And worst prognosis eclampsia is antepartum. Next, excellent marker of magnesium toxicity is pulse oximetry. Recurrent PIH in next pregnancy is 25%. Next comes rollover test or giant rollover test. This is a screening test done between 28 to 30 2 weeks of pregnancy. Blood pressure is measured with the patient on her side first, and then patient is asked to roll on her back to check BP once again. An increase of 20 mmHg diastolic pressure from side to back position indicates a positive rollover test, which means the patient is having PIH. Just remember the risk factors also: nulliparous women, obesity, multifetal gestation, age more than 35 years, and if the patient is having anti-phospholipid antibody syndrome, there is a high chances for getting PIH. That's all. Thank you.